Colleen. Welcome to my office. Before we dive into anything today, I just wanted to start off with a little mindfulness exercise. Mindfulness is a tool that helps us stay really focused and grounded in the present moment. And what the purpose of it is to really ground ourselves in the moment, because oftentimes we feel depression or sadness about the past, or we are overly anxious about the future. And so what mindfulness exercises do is help us just be in the present moment and respond to our environment in a positive way. Okay. So I'm just going to go through this little exercise. Begin by connecting to your breath and body. Feel your feet on the ground and notice your experience in this moment.
Okay.
With your awareness in this moment, notice any thoughts, sensations, or emotions that you are experiencing. Tune into the awareness or sensation that you have in your body of feeling hungry, thirsty, or maybe even feeling full. If you were going to eat or drink something right now, what is your body hungry for? What is it thirsty for? Just pay attention and notice with awareness the sensations that give you this information. Now bring your attention to the item in your hand and imagine that you are seeing it for the first time. Observe with curiosity as you pay attention and notice the color, shape, texture, and size. Is there anything else that you notice, sense, or feel? Imagine what it took for this item to get to your hands. Sunshine, water, time, processing, shipping. You may choose to be aware of gratitude for everyone involved in the cultivation and preparation of this item of food. You may choose to bring in your own gratitude or spiritual blessing. Now place the item between your fingers and feel the texture, temperature, and ridges. You may notice smoothness or stickiness. Again, notice if you have any thoughts, sensations, or emotions at this time. Continue to breathe and be fully present in this moment. Take the piece of food and bring it toward your nose and smell it with your full awareness. Notice if you have any memories, sensations, or reactions in your body. Even before you eat it, you may notice that you begin to have a digestive response in your body just by noticing and smelling. With full awareness of your hands moving toward your mouth, place the object into your mouth without chewing or swallowing. Just allow it to be in your mouth. Roll it around to different parts of your mouth and tongue. Notice the flavor and texture. Notice the physical sensations within your body, especially your mouth and your gut. Continue to breathe as you explore the sensation of having this item in your mouth. Next, take just one bite and notice the flavor. Notice the change of texture. Then very slowly begin to chew this piece of food and notice the parts of your mouth that are involved in chewing. Notice the sound and movement of chewing as you continue to notice the sensations and flavor. When you are ready, swallow this item and notice the path that it follows from your mouth and throat into your stomach. Notice the sensation and taste that may linger in your mouth. Connect again to your body and your breath and notice your experience in this moment. And that's our mindfulness exercise. How did that make you feel?
Actually, it was a pistachio, and I had just eaten a bunch before. Mm-hmm. And this one tasted really good because I paid attention to it.
Yeah, you paid attention to it. Yeah, being mindful is actually a practice that we can incorporate into our lives without anybody even knowing around us that we're taking a moment to be really present in the moment that we're given. So, and that's just a really helpful tool when faced with any sort of anxiety or stress. Just being able to take that moment for ourselves, take a few really deep breaths, and be mindful of what we have in our surroundings. So, how was your last week been? How's it been?
It's been good.
Good?
It's been good. A little crazy.
A little crazy? How has it been crazy?
There's a lot of action going on around here. It kind of makes me overwhelmed.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
How have you felt like you've been handling the craziness?
I have to keep reminding myself to have patience and just to take things day by day, like moment by moment. Because if I think about too many things at once, I get even more stressed.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. So what we're going to actually talk about today is another kind of, it's the how of like, how do we be mindful? How do we effectively like process things and the craziness happening around us, and how do we respond to those things without using like poor coping skills or becoming overly emotional. And the trick of this specific type of therapy that we're doing is actually, it's called Wise Minds.
Okay.
And this is a way of connecting our emotional mind and our rational minds and making really smart and wise decisions. So the two sides of our mind that we work with when we're faced with any sort of problem, we work with our rational mind.
Okay.
Here's our rational mind. R for rational. And the rational part of our mind is really helpful for doing a recipe, creating a budget. It's kind of like when we need to get stuff done, we feel very like rational. We're using our logical minds. The emotional mind is when our emotions kind of take over. We feel very anxious. We feel like we need to get our needs met now. We're just very heightened emotional states.
Okay.
Do those make sense to you? Like,
yeah,
okay.
Definitely.
What do you feel like are the pros and cons of using your rational minds?
I think just taking your emotions out of a stressful situation or any situation, just life in general, but just taking your emotions and which don't necessarily make sense a lot of times.
Yeah.
If you put those aside, and so just you're looking at things as calmly and in perspective as possible.
Yeah.
Feel like you can handle the situation better rather than if you get yourself amped up, or myself, amped up and worried about stuff and dealing solely with emotions. I don't feel like you can get as much positive accomplished.
Right. Yeah. You're kind of focused. Do you think there's any downsides of only using that rational mind?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because then you don't also deal with your heart as much, I think.
Yeah.
So
you kind of ignore your intuition, maybe ignore emotions or like your gut feeling that's like helping guide you. And then with the emotional minds, what do you feel like are some of the pros of having emotions and like using them to make decisions and interact with people in your life?
Pros of using emotions to make decisions?
Yeah.
Well, I think if you're using your emotions to make decisions like that, it's like it would be maybe a little bit more personable. You're dealing with other people's emotions, and it's not a cold calculating type of decision.
Exactly.
It's more of a decision made with your heart. But somehow there has to be a blend of both, because you need to have some rational perspective to make decisions and to deal with your life, rather than just all on the seat of your pants, basically.
Yeah. And actually, you directed us right into the wise mind, and that's exactly what it is. We have our rational, our emotional mind, and actually, wise mind is right here in the middle. Wise mind, and wise mind is basically when you're thinking very clearly about a situation. You're not ignoring your emotions, because no emotion is wrong or bad. They are just a normal part of the human experience. And then the rational mind's definitely not good or bad, but it can often be cool and too collective that we're not really expressing our heart, or we're not listening to our heart, which could also take away from the human experience. And so really what we're going to work on in our treatment is how to use that wise mind. Even in situations that could be very stressful, very high, chaotic situations. And one of the ways to actually use our wise mind is to use some mindfulness skills. So even when faced with a really stressful situation, to try to take a moment to pause. That's what we call it in this in these skills, is to take a moment to pause and reflect and respond to the situation with both our healthy emotional experiences, and then also in a rational way, so we make the best decision. Can you think of a time that recently that you used your wise mind?
Probably doing taxes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, where it's easy to get both those in
Yeah.
both of those states where you can get really
That's
clinical.
so true. Yeah.
Yeah, you can get really clinical and just see things black and white.
Mm-hmm.
But then realizing that, you know, like, because you don't, but then you get emotional when you think, I owe this much. But to keep everything in perspective and, you know, yeah, it's emotional. Maybe that emotion, like actually today, doing my mom's taxes, there was a point where she owed a lot of money on one of the taxes, and we were just clinically going through it, like, oh, it's black and white, it's black and white, and then all of a sudden it was like, wait, what? She owes that much? And then that became emotional, like, she can't owe that much, that's ridiculous. And then it helped us to, like, after we got up, I was upset about it, went back and retraced our steps through the last tax form and realized, you know, okay, go back, this will make us go back and look at it because we don't want her to owe that much money.
Right.
And then we went back through it, and it turned out it was zero.
Oh, good.
So I think that's a really, and that just happened today.
And how did you keep your composure during that time, and how did you help your mom not feel stressed? I mean, that's her money that could have been spent at that instead of doing something that she wanted to do. Like, how did you keep that calm?
First of all, I didn't tell her till we figured it out.
Right.
So a lot of that is just like figure out the problem, and then figure out the problem, and then discuss, like, okay, did it really happen, or is it, you know, whatever. We were able to
jump to a conclusion.
No, I mean, we kind of did it first, and then and got emotional at first about it, but then pulled back to, like, go back through the taxes and figure out, like, what is the problem. So there was a little bit of jumping around there for a bit until it was worked out. Yeah. And then we told her, like, okay, this could have been the problem, but we fixed it.
Yeah. So you have, like, very good skills already that kind of keep you in that grounded state where you're able to think logically. And, I mean, yeah, you care for your mom. And so you might have felt emotional for a moment on, you know, whether or not this tax season was going to be really hard for her, but you really used a lot of skills to keep the situation really controlled and really productive, it sounds like. So that's amazing that you have so many strengths. Yeah. Do you feel like what kind of mindfulness skills do you feel like you use in your life that could help you have other successful situations like you had today?
Like, what exactly do you mean?
I'm kind of like talking about, like, coping skills, things that you do to bring peace into your life and to bring balanced thinking. For instance, playing a musical instrument, listening to music, taking deep breaths, just taking a moment for yourself to bring clarity.
I play a lot of piano.
Yeah. Okay.
A lot of piano.
That's super helpful.
Yeah, and if I'm very stressful, I play a lot of loud piano.
Yeah.
But yes, a lot of piano.
Yeah, that's very helpful in bringing ourselves peace in such chaos.
Yeah, and take our dog to the park.
Yeah, I saw her running around.
Yes, she's always running around.
She wants to go to the park now.
She does,
which is also a very mindful activity.
She'll have to wait.
Yeah. So I just encourage you in the next week before we see each other to really prioritize those moments where you can focus on your inner peace, focus on being grounded in the moment before even responding emotionally or logically. Focus on grounding yourself so that you can respond to these situations and the chaos in the most effective way possible. Just to save yourself some sanity and some yeah. And so was the session helpful for you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming in. Also, if you have any questions on how to use the skill in your daily life, that's one thing about this type of therapy is that I'm actually available to you during office hours throughout the week, so that because the goal is that you use the skill in your daily life instead of just using it in therapy. So I'm actually available to you if you need a call and you have questions on, this is a situation, how do I use my wise mind? I'm available to help coach you through those situations. Yeah. So just leave me a voicemail if I don't answer, and I'll get back to you within a very reasonable amount of time to help coach you through those situations.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming in.
Oh, thank you.